Piya, we can start now.
Okay. Right. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kamesu miccachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musawada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya majjapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us now sit as comfortably as we can in a balanced way and prepare ourselves for the breath meditation. Keep your breathing easy and relaxed, like a sleeping baby. Basically, we are letting go of the breath. Letting go in the sense we don't control it. We just let the breath come and go, just as it always does by itself. We focus, we watch this air coming in, going out peacefully, like watching the sunset. If you do this properly like this, your breathing will become more peaceful. You will become the doorway to inner peace. In a manner of speaking, in the first two stages, the breath are still physical, the body. But if you do it properly, the last two stages, especially the fourth stage, the breath becomes mind. It's a mental process. Then you don't feel it in your body. You don't notice it in your body, but it's very subtle. It becomes inner peace. All this by letting go. Remember, meditation is about letting go. It's the higher letting go, the real renunciation. Now, to help beginners, we start by counting the breaths. Breathe in, breathe out. Count 1. In, out, 2. In, out, 3. A smile each time. In, out, 4. And a smile. In, out, 5. Smile. 1 to 5, 1 to 5. You can stop at 5, or you can go on to count up to 10. 1 to 10, 1 to 10. Choose one number and stay with it in each session. If you count wrongly, it's okay. Just start with 1 again. The counting is just to help us push away immediate distractions so that we focus on the breath. Just let your breathing be relaxed. Sometimes the breath is fast, sometimes slow, sometimes deep, sometimes shallow. Those of you who do not like counting or counting doesn't work for you, it's okay, it happens. If that is the case, you don't have to count. You go straight into the second stage, the in-out stage. In other words, watch the breath. When it has come in, simply note it as in. Smile. Then the breath goes out. Note it as out. Smile. In, out, in, out. Now, if you are tired and you meditate, you may yawn, you may even fall asleep. It's all right. Because even monks, some of them, they sleep in a sitting position, one of the strict rules. So if you do fall asleep sitting, you will stay that way. You're not going to roll over, so don't worry. Just relax because you're tired, so your body falls asleep. Just sleep mindfully. Then when you get up, continue with your meditation if you like. If you want to refresh yourself, if you want to re-energize yourself because of sleepiness, then you stop your meditation, take a deep breath, feel your lower half of the lungs, the top half of the lungs filled with air like a big balloon. So your chest is tight with air. And hold this tightness at your lungs full of air as long as you can. Until you are ready, then just breathe out through the mouth, half open mouth. Slowly, just let all the air out, out, out. And then just breathe in normally again. When you breathe the air out, imagine all this sleepiness, tiredness, all the negative energy going out, fresh air coming in. Do this only once or twice, not too many times. So just once you're refreshed, continue with your sitting. Or you can just take a deep breath, also can just simple deep breath and just breathe out. That will refresh you also. So try, see which one works for you. You can breathe through your nose. If you have a cold, you can breathe through your mouth. So stage 1 is counting, stage 2 is in, out. These 2 stages, be as mindful as you can. Try your best to keep the focus. Take as long as you need. And when you do this properly, you will notice your breathing slowing down and the gap between the breath, in-out breath, in and out, becomes longer. Notice there is a growing space of peace in between the breaths. So breathing slows down. Then just smile at the space, smile at peacefulness. In space, out space, like that. That's third stage. Stage you still watch the in out and the spaces. Smile at the spaces. Feel it. Smile at it. Sometimes you may not feel anything, it's just peaceful. And don't do anything. Just smile if you like. Feel the peacefulness as long as you can. If you really let go, this peacefulness can be very deep. And then when you come out of it, you find half an hour has passed, 1 hour has passed. In space, out space. At any time, if you have any difficulty, you can go back to in, out, or even back to the counting stage, where your mind is not distracted. Now, after a while, when you do this properly, you'll find that the breathing becomes very subtle, even not noticeable. You're still breathing, but it's become so peaceful. That's the fourth stage. No need to say anything, total silence. Stay with the peacefulness as long as you can. Even if you cannot get stage 4 or stage 3, just stay with 1 and 2, just peace with yourself. And you find at the end of the session, you feel peaceful also. Stay with the peacefulness. Smile at it. Now at this point, please review your practice. That means remember the peaceful moments, joyful moments. Even for a split second, you felt good, happy. Remember that. It's a window into samadhi, into peace. Remember this happy thought. This will help you in your future meditation. Remember this, and then you feel inspired to meditate. Or whenever you feel sad or angry, remember this peaceful state. It will stabilize you. This is your safe, secure spot in your heart. Also, during the review, you can check to see if you have any distractions and how it happened, what are the conditions, notice them, note them, so the next time you can prevent them. So this is your review. Before we end, just open your eyes and just sit. This is called just sitting. In other words, you just sit quietly for a while, doing nothing in particular. We begin our meditation slowly, gently. We end it also slowly, gently. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now we go on to the study. Today we're going to have a very special sutta, a very special lesson. Well, it's not exactly a conventional sutta. It's actually a poem. It's a poem by a nun about this very beautiful nun who is a non-returner. She already practiced and she's attained this high level of meditation. That means no more desire, no more lust. She's very happy as a nun. So her name is Subha. Subha meaning beautiful. Subha is Su meaning good, and Abha means light. So Subha means bright, radiant, beautiful, radiantly beautiful. Okay. Subha is a very common name even today in India. So she has a special name, long name, which I'll come to in a while. The next word is Therigatha. Theri means nun. Theri. The male masculine word is Thera. Thera means elder, Thera literally means stable. So Theri is the feminine version. That means that as monks and nuns, they are stable, they're calm, they're good practitioners. So Theri is a elder nun. Gatha means verse or verses. Okay. So there you see the translation, the verses of the elder nun. Theri means elder nun, Subha. THI is the short form, Therigatha. Sometimes you see THIG. You know? Here, we try to make the short forms as short as possible. Like the older the texts are, the shorter the letters. For example, the 4 Nikayas, DMSA, Diga, Majjhima, Samyutta, Anguttara. Therigatha is in the Khuddaka Nikaya, the 5th Nikaya. There are 15 suttas there. So that we give 3 letters, THI. Okay. I don't want to give 4 because there are other later works. So the later works we give more letters as a short form, that is. So THI is good enough for us to remember as Therigatha, verses 366 to 399. So there are thousands of such verses in a little book of poems by the elders. Now these poems are basically joyful remarks, outbursts, if you like. They're so happy, they kind of recite their story. Some of the stories are sad, some happy, some are funny, even like some of those nuns. They're so happy, you know, they become nuns and then they're liberated away from their bullying husband. They say, now I'm free and no need to prepare food for him, no need to do all these things, no need to pound things in the mortar and so on and so forth. They're very happy. And then there are some very beautiful reflections, like, you know, this Ambapali, very beautiful woman in the past. She was a courtesan. She was young and beautiful, and then she became old, and she said, look at my body now, you know, everything is all old already, and it's a beautiful reflection on old age. So you have all these kinds of poems here. But this particular poem is a nature poem. It's a very beautiful nature poem. And also, it's also a love poem. And this is a surprising thing. We'll find out what it's all about. Huh? Now, the theme is the true meaning of seeing, or you can even say the true meaning of giving, because the climax of this poem is when this nun plucks out her eye. That's the amazing thing she does. We'll find out later. Why did she do that? Okay. So this is Subha Theri, this beautiful verse. So the style is a bit different from the ordinary suttas. Okay, these are all verses, and let's look at them. Okay. Let's turn to the verses. Yeah, there you are. Subha Therigatha, verses of the elder nun Subha, THI 366 to 399. So now I've added in what I call the taglines. For example, who's saying what verses, all right? So we want to know who's the narrator. So this, you see square brackets, within the square brackets are the narrators. These are usually not found in the printed books. Sometimes they give, usually they don't. So the ancient Indian audience, when they listen, they already know who's talking and who's answering and so on. Okay, so you have the verse, the Pali verse on the left, and the translation on the right. We will just look at the translation. This Gatha seems to be very long, but actually lots of notes there. The verses are quite short, really. So the background is this nun, she likes, okay, I was going to tell you her name. So she likes to go to this Jivaka's mango grove, okay? So her name, what should I say? The special name is Jivakambawana, Jivaka Amba Wanika Theri. Now, if you look at the front page again, you can see in the first paragraph, okay, Subha Jivakamba Wanika Theri. Okay, yeah, you can see on the 1.1, the third line, there you are. Subha Jivakamba Wanika Theri. Okay, Jivaka is the name of the doctor who owns the garden. Wana. Wanika means, Wanika comes from Wana, meaning a grove, cultivated grove. Amba means mango. So Amba Wana, mango grove. Here we put Ika at the end, meaning this person is from there. She resides there. She likes to go there. So Subha likes to go there, so she's called Jiwa Kamba Wanika. Okay. So that's her special name. Because there's another Subha, who is a smith's daughter. All right. All right. So in this story, you see Subha walking. She's going to the forest to meditate. And then a young man who's kind of drunk or half drunk, probably an old boyfriend, stopped her and tried to court her. Okay. And this is the what you call the dialogue between the two. It's a bit like a little cameo episode from a Hindi movie, if you like, because it's a beautiful garden. The trees are in flower. It is in spring, and there are birds, and it's very beautiful day, windy, and so on. So this is the background, very beautiful background. Okay, so here we can see it's a very happy background, but you have two sides of the story. The teaching is very deep here, surprisingly. So this is another way of learning Dharma. No? And then again, we got to know who's talking, who's talking, who's the narrator, right? So you can see the square brackets there. While I'll just read through the first verse to give an idea of the Pali. Jiwa Kamba Wanang Ramang Gachanting Bikuning Subang Dut Teko Sani Waresi Tamenang Abrawi Subha. Okay. While the nun Subha was going to the delightful Jiwaka's mango grove, a rogue stopped her. Subha said this to him. Okay, so at the start, right at the start. Remember, this actually, we are told that actually Subha is the one who's telling all these verses, but apparently not the first verse, because the first verse was added by those who attended the first council, so that we know the context, we know what happened, where this happened, all right? Probably Subha only started saying her verses from number 2, all right? So we have this kind of context which you have to understand. Now this is where you are looking at the sutta as what's called as literature, okay? So she's going to meditate in this beautiful mango grove, and then this young man who's half drunk stops her. And Subha speaks first, okay? She's alone, by the way, okay? She's all alone there. What wrong have I done to you that you are blocking my way? It's not fitting, friend, or Awuso, that a man should touch a woman gone forth. Okay, gone forth, that means she's a nun. She has gone forth, she has left home, renounced the world. So he's telling directly this man, please don't block my way. In my teacher's strict teaching, taught by the Sugata, the welfarer, is the blemish-free, purified state. Why are you blocking my way? Right? So here is a innocent nun telling this man, I'm a nun, so don't block me, don't disturb me. Just leave me alone. Because I am following the Buddha's teaching. And notice in line C, third line, she says blemish-free, purified state. Because she's already a non-returner. She has got no lust, no sensual desire, no ill will. She's very happy, very calm. So notice in line B, 367, line B, the first, the verse 2, second line, she says, blocking my way. And here again, she repeats, why are you blocking my way? Okay, so she says a few times, trying to get the young man to move away. All right, so this is how she pleads, telling the man, so she's very firm, standing like that. Now, in her case, she's strong, and for some reason, She's safe also. But there's another nun called Upalawana. She was not so fortunate. In fact, there is a sad story about her. She was raped in that case, you know. But since she was already an arahat, there's no case against her because she has no feelings for all these worldly things, and she's an arahat, and so she's free from any blame. All right. But in the case of Subha, she is safe. Now, next verse, verse 4, that is Therigatha is verse 369. You can see the Therigatha number on the far left, far right rather, far right at the bottom in square brackets. Okay, the number in the translation is on the left. 1, 2, 3, 4 is on the left. Okay, now she continues. She says, "Disturbed is your mind, undisturbed am I." Right, so now she contrasts. The two are different. So you're disturbed. I'm not disturbed. We're different. Dusted in passion are you. Dust free, blemish free am I. All right. So here is poetic language. Dusted in passion. The passion of dust covers you. Why dust? Because when dust gets in your eye, you can't see well. Okay, and dust also becomes dirt. When you have sweat, it becomes a layer of dirt on your body, and you can smell. But then Subha says, I am dust free. The dust of greed, hate, delusion, no more with me. I'm blemish free. All the defilements are gone. Okay, or at least to a great extent, they're gone. All my mind is freed. Right? Why are you blocking my way? Right? So he says, well, why are you doing this? I mean, I'm not interested in worldly things, right? So this is what she says. She pleads with this young man, right? So she's standing there calmly, a nun, notice, shaven head, wearing robes, and this young man trying to seduce her. Now the young man, the rogue, says, "You are young and not bad looking," or "You are young and innocent," something like that. Okay, you can translate different ways. What good is going forth for you? So why do you want to waste your life? Why do you renounce the world? You're young. Throw away your brown robes. Come, let us delight in the flowering grove. Now, your symbolic language here. The young man says, why don't you get out of all this renunciation? Come back to the world. Come back to samsara, right? So come, let us delight in this flowering growth, right? So this flowering, all this shows growth, shows the world. Things are still growing, and what's growing is going to die, okay? So come back to this world, right? She's already out of this world. And then he continues, he says, the towering trees breathe forth fragrance, spewing flower pollen everywhere. Here you see, this is love language. No? You hear all these beautiful words in the Hindi songs, you know. So this is an example of the kind of language where they get it. There are lots of this kind of literature in ancient in Indian literature. So now he's using all these nature images, towering trees. He's imagining these trees are alive. The trees breathe forth fragrance, very nice smell, flowers, spring, and pollen flying everywhere, flower pollen. So all these are fertility symbols. Okay, so he's hinting about all this, what man and woman does. So there are flower pollen everywhere. Picture this beautiful scenery. And then he continues and says, early spring is a joyous season. So it's very happy. It's just early spring, around May, like that. Come, let us revel in the flowering grove. Why don't we just have fun in the grove? So beautiful. Next verse. And the trees with flowery crests roar, as it were, when stirred by the wind. Okay, here again, he's speaking poetic language. These trees are roaring, okay, making a sound. All these are innuendos. He's hinting at this beautiful nun. You know? So these beautiful trees, they're flowering and they're making sounds. The wind is blowing. right? What delight there will be for you if you were to plunge alone into the grove. Okay, so why don't we go into the grove, to the garden, and enjoy ourselves there? So this is the hinting. So he is trying to say, look, nature is beautiful. Nature is enjoying itself right now. You know, it's spring. And it is our human nature to be like that, you know, to be like the flowers and the trees, the birds and the bees, something like that, right? So this is a young man talk, yeah? So, and then she goes on. Now she, or rather he, tries to frighten this young nun. He says, haunted by hordes of beasts of prey, disturbed by cow elephants and bull elephants in rut, is the great forest, remote and fearful, into which you wish to go without a companion. So you're all alone. You know how dangerous this place is, this forest? Right? So first line, haunted by hordes of beasts of prey. There are wild animals there, right? So basically he's hinting, so I'll take care of you there. And then the second one is a hint, very broad hint. It is the mating season of elephants, right? Cow elephants and bull elephants. You know, these are huge animals, you know. So this is a time when you don't go near them. Got the elephants in rut. That means they're mating, so it's very dangerous. So here this young man is hinting to also say, why do you want to go in the forest alone? It's not safe. Now in the next verse, he goes on, he's going to praise the son, frighten her, now praise her, trying to show her how beautiful she is and how much he likes her. Okay, so he says, you'll go about like a doll of shining gold, like an Apsara in Chitalata. Okay, this you need to know a bit of Buddhist mythology, Buddhist stories. No? The first line is quite clear. This young man or young boy, probably a late teenage, is objectifying Subha. So you're like a doll. No? You know, some of those old pop songs, the living doll. No? So there's something to objectify, an object of desire, of shining gold, and gold is precious, of course. Apsara is a beautiful flying deity, like a fairy. Like you see this in Chinese drawings in the caves, you know, Apsara. Okay. These Apsaras in Greek mythology, they are water nymphs, very beautiful river goddesses, if you like. In fact, Apsara comes from Apo means water. Originally they're from there. But here in this Buddhist mythology, these Apsaras, they're actually the wives of the Gandharvas, or Gandharva, who are heavenly musicians. These Gandharva and Apsaras, they're actually like servants, they're entertainers, singers and dancers. These Apsaras are mostly singers and dancers, whereas the Gandharvas, they are musicians, they're heavenly musicians. So they exist in the lowest of the heavens, the heaven of the four great kings. Okay. Now the heaven of the four great kings is just below Tawatingsa, according to Buddhist mythology. So they're close, very close to each other. They're neighbors practically, and they are said to be earthbound heavens. In fact, they're very close to us, so to speak. Yeah. So these four guardian deities, they protect the Sakra's heaven of the tree, and they also serve him. Okay, so this is the story. You see all these stories, all these ideas of these gods in the story of monkey, for example. Okay, so this is the where the Apsaras come from. They are in the heaven of the four guardian deities. But here, this young man, we do not know his name, is saying, you are like this Apsara, this beautiful fairy, or this beautiful deity in this beautiful heaven. Okay? Chitalata is the name of one of the pleasure gardens in Tawatingsa, where Sakra lives and enjoy himself his good karma. So this is one of the beautiful, very beautiful pleasure garden in Tawatingsa, heaven of the 33. Now the young man continues, "O peerless one, incomparable one, you will shine in delicate khasi cloth and lovely clothes." Right, what else do we talk about with a girl, right? So he says, well, you know, I can buy you nice clothes. Not just any clothes, but khasi clothes. Imported clothes from Paris or Milan design, something like that. Khasi is that famous city in northern India, famous for its perfume, cloth, and so on. So I'll get you the best cloth, you know, and you can dress in them and you look beautiful. So he is very infatuated, right? And now you come some more of this small talk, lots of promises, you know. So this young man says, "I'll yield to your power. In other words, I'll be at your beck and call." Okay, this again, empty promises. Before they married, you see all kind of things. So I say, "I will listen to everything you say. If we dwell deep in the grove," or you can also translate, "if we dwell amidst the grove," in this beautiful garden, okay, a beautiful grove. "For there's none breathing dearer to me than you, O Kimnari of tender eyes." Okay, notice earlier on in the previous verse, last line, he calls her an Apsara. Now he calls her a Kimnari. A Kimnari is a female version of a Kimnara. Now this Kimnara, or in Pali is Kinnara, is like in the Greek mythology a harpy. The bottom half is bird-like. They got legs of like a giant dove, okay? But upper body is human, okay? It's supposed to be beautiful, right? So Kimnari is an anglicized version of the verb. The I ending is feminine. The man is called Kinara, okay? Nara means man actually. King means what, okay? So Kinara is a harpy in the Greek mythology. So here again, you have this beautiful serving deity. They're there to give pleasure to all the gods, you know. So this Kinara or Kinari, again, they are there in the four guardian deities heaven. So now he says, "Oh, you got beautiful eyes." Now she's focusing on her body. He said, "You got beautiful, you got tender eyes, oh Kinari of tender eyes." So notice he's objectifying her as a doll, and then slowly he says, "Oh, you have these beautiful eyes." And again, he invites her. He says the same thing as the two verses before. Now he says, "If you do as I say," right? It's the other way around, sorry. So if you do as I say, earlier on he says, "I will do what you say." Then here he says, "If you do as I say, come dwell happily in a house." Okay, there you are. This Subha is hopeless. She has renounced the world, but here this young man says, "Why do you come back into a house? Be a dweller of a wind-free palace." Right? You know, in the open, there's always wind. You got to wear your double robe so it doesn't get cold. "Let the women do all your work." Right? So it promises all this comfortable life in a home. Right? If you do as I say, come dwell happily in a house, be a dweller of a wind-free palace. Let the women do all your work. All these premarital promises. No? And again, he repeats next verse. He tells her, "Wear delicate khasi cloth and beautify yourself with garlands and makeup." All right, so this is sure other worldly women who like this, but Subha is a nun. So she's promising all these things. What would be given to a worldly woman? Now, apparently, he's a goldsmith's son. Okay, the commentary says he's a goldsmith's son. He says, "I will make numerous ornaments of diverse gold, gems, and pearls for you." Right? So all these promises. It's going to beautify her. Okay. I mean, here you see a bit of double talk. I mean, first it says you're already beautiful, and then he still wants to beautify her, right? Then he becomes even more daring, hinting, approaching her, insinuating. Verse 13, he says, climb into a bed you greatly deserve. Right? So again, here she's objectifying this woman as a mother-to-be, as a pleasure giver. Climb into a bed you greatly deserve, with a beautiful, well-washed, dirt-free canopy. So this is supposed to be a luxury kind of bed. Spread with a new woolen mattress, adorned with sandalwood of sweetest scent. You see these monks and nuns living in the forest, they have no mattress. They sleep on the hard ground. They just spread their robe and then they sleep there, okay? So here, this man said, I'll give you a mattress, on this really nice soft bed. And then he goes into more figurative language. Verse 14, just as a blue lotus risen up from the water that's enjoyed by no humans, even so you, Brahmacharini, will come to decay in your own limbs. Okay, now it's getting a bit serious, it's threatening, He said, you're a nun, you're all alone, you're like this lotus, Here it's very interesting because normally the lotus is used in a positive way. He mentions lotus here, but he uses the idea of loneliness. It's just this single lotus, and lotus always grows singly. And you have this beautiful, rare blue lotus growing in the water. And there's no one to enjoy because you are in the forest. Nobody knows where to look for it, and they don't see you. So you are there all alone. Nobody's seeing you. So you, Brahmacharini. So at least here he addresses her in the right way. So Brahmacharini means someone who is pure, who doesn't indulge in any sensual pleasure, any sexual pleasure. Brahmacharini is a female. Brahmachari is the masculine form. Brahmacharini is the feminine form. Even so, you, Brahmacharini, will come to decay in your own limbs, right? So you're going to grow old. You're going to grow old and you're going to die just as you are. Why you're wasting your body, So this is what the young men say. Right? So now Subha stops him, and Subha replies. She says, what is it that you take to be the essence here? In what is full of dead things, filling the graveyard full? Having seen this carcass habitually breaking up, seeing which, take care you do not go out of your mind. Now here you see, she's a quite strong person, this Subha. She's teaching him some Dhamma. She's telling him, you don't know what you're looking at. You don't know what you're talking. You think this body is beautiful. What is the essence here? Don't you see the reality here? Don't you see what really this is all about? Right? In what is full of dead things. Okay? Let me see. This is verse 14. Okay, it's just above. I think never mind, we're kind of halfway through. Full of dead things. The body is decaying all the time, and then in the end, you'll be thrown into the graveyard. Now we come to the verse on the screen. Having seen the carcass habitually breaking up, seeing which take care you do not go out of your mind. So you have not really seen what this body really is. This body will grow old, it will decay, and then it will rot. People die. You'll be shocked by this if you know what all this is. So what are you talking about? So she's talking as a nun. Okay? So this young man is still not convinced. Okay, so he goes on and he says, again, it goes back to objectifying her, specifying her eyes. Your eyes are like a doe's or a fawn, female deer, okay? Like those of a Kimnari in the mountains. Gazing at your eyes, my sensual delight grows all the more. So the more I look at your eyes, the more I want you, the more beautiful you look. You're like this angel, this Kimnari in the mountains, meaning alone, hard to find. Okay, so when I look into your eyes, I feel even I want you even more. Okay, so this is typical love language. Né? And now, again, it goes back. Next verse, she uses the lotus imagery again. Like blue lotus buds are your eyes, in a spotless face like gold. So much like lotus bud are you, my sensual cause. Only grows only more. Okay, so in other words, she desires even more for him, right? So he's kind of intoxicated, infatuated. So because of her eyes, she's looking and she's kind of infatuated with your eyes. Says, your eyes are so beautiful. The more I look at your eyes, the more I want you, you know. And your face is so spotless, so beautiful, like gold. So this theme is the same here. It's the face and the eyes. So it continues. Even if you are gone far away, I shall remember you. Your long eyelashes, your clear gaze. For no eyes are dearer to me than yours, O Kimnari of gentle eyes. Okay, so here again, he goes on to praise this object, which he sees an object. He says, "Oh, you've got nice eyes. I like your eyes. You're more precious to me than anything." And again, he calls her Kinari, as if she doesn't belong to us. She's like a heavenly figure, and so on. Right? Now things are going to change in a while. Okay, so this is the second part, and I'm not going to read it yet. Okay, so we'll take a short break here, and then we will come back. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Brother Piya. We'll take a 5 minutes break.
Right, now we go to section 19. The narrator, the speaker is Subha. Okay. So she's now the teaching, now the verses get more serious. There's more Dharma now. Now it is Subha who is stating her case, standing her ground, okay, showing that she's really a remarkable spiritual woman, okay. So she says, verse 19, Apatena payatumichasi chandang kila nakamung gawe sasi merung langetung michasi yo tuang buddha sutang magayasi. You wish to go where there's no path. You see, she's saying this with a double meaning, okay? You wish to go where there's no path, right? Meaning you go into the jungle, there's no path there. You could be lost. And she also means you're going the wrong way, right? You're not going any right way, no path, no Eightfold Path. You seek the moon for sport. You think the moon is beautiful, you can play with it. You wish to leap over Mount Meru. Mount Meru is the highest mountain in northern India. It also means the center of the universe. You want to jump over this big mountain. You who long for Buddha's daughter, right? You're talking to someone who has renounced the world in the Buddha's name. How can you want her? Nati hilo ke sadeva ke rago yatapi dani mesia. Napi nang jana mikirisa, atamagena hato somulaka. There is no lust for me anywhere. Here in the world with these devas, I know not what it would be like, for it has been killed down to the root by the path. So here, this Subha is saying, I've no lust, I've no feeling for sensual pleasures. It's all gone. I don't know what it is, because this desire, this first of the fetters, has been destroyed by the path, the Eightfold Path. As I mentioned earlier, she's already a non-returner. That means she doesn't have lust or the opposite, this ill will. No? Now she gives gentle warning, actually quite a strong warning to this young man. It says, "It's like tongues of flames leaping out of a fiery coal pit, like a bowl of poison whose potency is gone, set before the eye. I see not what it would be, for it has been killed down to the root by the path." Right? So it says, this fire keeps coming out, but that's all it does. It cannot go further. It's like this, something was poisonous, but the poison is all gone now. Doesn't trouble me. So she's talking about herself. It says all this desire, all these negative qualities has been killed, have been destroyed down to the root, uprooted. No more desire for me. Unless she's talking about herself. So that's what I am, you know. Then next, she tried to teach some Dhamma to this young man. She says to him, it should be unreflective. In other words, one who reviews not, or one who has not served a teacher. Right? If you have not followed the Buddha, that you try to seduce someone like that. Notice she doesn't say someone like me, she says someone's like that. She refers to the third person. This one knows. She says this one knows. This person knows. This five aggregates knows. You will grieve over this. Notice her language is here non-self. No? She says you will grieve over this. You're going to suffer if you do this. It's just the wrong situation. For in the midst of blame and praise, joy and sorrow, my mindfulness stands firm. Right? So I'm not troubled by the world anymore. All these winds, 8 winds blowing, blame and praise, joy and sorrow doesn't trouble me anymore. I'm calm. Knowing that the condition is foul, my mind clings not to anything at all. Right? So everything in this world is conditioned, therefore impermanent. You cling to it, you're going to suffer. So my mind has let go of all of this. No more clinging. Then he declares he's the Buddha's disciple. Next verse. The welfarer refers to the Buddha, Sugata, one who fares well, who moves happily. Wherever he goes, he brings happiness. So it's very nice to say farewell. When you say farewell, in the sense, it's like you're thinking of the Buddha, say, may you go with the Buddha, farewell, go nearer the path. This is very interesting because, you know, when you say goodbye, this goodbye comes from Old English. It means God be with ye. God be with ye. So the cut short becomes goodbye. Notice there is a ye, the e ending. As a kid, I used to wonder, why is goodbye, the ye has gone e there. Originally, it means ye, God be with you. So they cut it short, goodbye. Okay. So I suppose farewell would be a nicer way of sending someone off on a journey. So there is the wayfarer here, that's the Buddha. The wayfarer's disciple am I, a traveler in a vehicle on the Eightfold Path, or traveling in the vehicle that is the Eightfold Path. Okay, 2 ways of translating. So she's saying she's practicing, right? Not only practicing, she's already attained non-returning, but she doesn't say this. The dart is drawn out free from the influxes. I delight having gone into an empty place, right? Now, although she's not an arahat, she says influxes are gone. Well, most of it is gone, not totally, but is good enough, you know, the way she says it. Basically, she's saying, I love to meditate. I'm very happy to meditate. As a non-returner, it's very easy for her to get into jhana, to meditate. Okay, so she says, I love to go to an empty place. So she goes to the forest for that reason. She goes to the forest to meditate. Okay. Now, this poem must have come from a very early time when nuns were still allowed to go to the forest. Later on, because of all this kind of situation, like this young man threatening Subha, and then especially after Upalawana got raped, so Upalawana's case probably came after this. The Buddha made a rule that nuns should not go into the forest, especially alone, to meditate or stay in the forest for their own safety. Okay, so this is one sign that this poem is quite early before the rule was made. Because you see Subha going to the forest all alone by herself, and she's very brave, very strong, you know, fighting off this intoxicated young man. Now Subha continues. For I have seen the well-crafted puppets or wooden marionettes hitched up with sticks and strings and made to dance in various ways. Right? He says, look, I've seen, this is what the body is, you know. You are made to enjoy life, all this singing and dancing, but you have no control over yourself. Something else controlling you. All this pleasure, all these desires controlling you. So now she says, remove are those strings and sticks, discarded, broken, scattered. Right? She says, I'm no more a puppet. I'm nobody's puppeteer. No one can pull my strings. Line C, third line. Not to be found, made into bits and pieces, all destroyed, all the puppets and strings. Where would the mind find a roost? Okay, this one is very deep. Where would the mind find a roost? We are reborn because our mind is still caught up in a spot. We look for something to be reborn. This is our past karma. Okay, so here Subha is hinting that she is slowly pushing away all this possibility of rebirth. This consciousness has no more place to roost, like this chicken coming back in the evening and they roost. So consciousness also needs a place to roost, needs a place to be reborn. It says all that is going away. Okay. On what would this mind fix itself, right? So it says that my mind doesn't fix on any desire or anything of this world. Okay, so basically she's saying her mind is free. All right. As a non-returner can say that. And then she continues, verse 28. Just as one painted in yellow tint, yellow color, a picture on the wall you might see. Perverse is your view. The perception is that you are human is groundless. Oh, she's really warning this young man, says, you don't see, you're not human right now because of your behavior, you know, right? More like an animal, eh? So all this is perverse, this is wrong view, right? You're seeing everything like through a colored lenses, everything is yellow, right? You're looking at a picture on the wall and you think it's real, you know, so you're getting caught up with all these ideas in your own head because she's in love with a nun. I mean, that is terrible, you know. And then the Subha goes on, verse 29, like an illusion arising before you, like a dream, a golden tree, you blindly run after what is false, a sham show in the midst of a crowd, right? Just like magic show. This crowd, wow, they love to be fooled, to be deluded by the magician. It's all an illusion. It's not real. And you see this like a dream, and you blindly run after this. Well, this young man is half drunk anyway, so he doesn't know why he's talking, you know. Now, Subha becomes more specific, okay? Remember, this young man keeps saying, oh, what beautiful eyes you got, you know. So now Subha is going to address that. Subha talks about her eyes. Verse 30. It's like a little ball set in a hollow with a bubble in the middle with tears and eye secretions. That is very nice, huh? And eye secretions arise there in various ways. Eye dung, in other words. Various eye parts roll together into a lump. Okay, so this is quite an interesting way of looking, like a surgeon's way of saying, well, that's the eyes without parts, and it doesn't really look nice, you know, if you just looking at the eyes like that. Okay, now what does she do? Now she does something. She doesn't say anything. So the narrators have to tell us what's going on. The council elders. Notice the square brackets, the council elders, they say, Upatiya Charudasana, Nacha Pajita Asanga Manasa, Andate Chakung Harasutang, Tasana Rasa, Adasi Tawade. Okay. So, plucking it out, Subha, the one beautiful to behold, and with detached mind, unattached, said, come, take you this eye. She at once gave it to the man. This is the climax of the whole poem. She plucks out her eye. Since the man says she got beautiful eyes, she plucks out her left eye. It's amazing. I don't know how she does that. She plucks out the left eye, and the eye is still a ball, and gives it to this young man. Right. So the first two lines are spoken by the council elders, and she speaks the last two lines. Come, take you this. Or only one line. Come, take you this. Eye. Right. She gives to the man. She at once gave it to the man. Notice from the lines, you know who's talking, right? At once, his passion ceased. And right there, he begged for forgiveness. May you be well, Brahmacharini, who lives the holy life. Such a thing will not happen again, right? So here, this young man suddenly got a shock. Imagine he got what he wanted. And when he saw it, he was shocked. You know, all his desire gone, because when you see what you like separated from the context, is something very different. So you basically the story here, the moral here is that you cannot love a part of a person. You cannot marry a part of a person. You got to look at the person totally. When you marry or love a person, that's called unconditional love. You accept the person totally. That is why when we marry, it's only a beginning. It's not complete yet. We all go through all this courting and rituals, you know. And then after marriage, you actually begin to learn from each other. You begin to know more and more about each other, and you adjust your lives accordingly. So to live is to love is to learn, right? So that's what it's like. So we cannot say, oh, you know, everything is already fated, you know each other, then you marry. It's not like that. You keep on learning. So here, this young man learned from shock. He got what he wanted, but it was out of context, and that was enough to shock him. So here, the council elders are telling us what's going on, and then you see a bit of dialogue in between also. Then the council elders go on. In fact, the last two verses are by the council elders also. Violating such a person, embracing such a blazing fire, I have seized a venomous serpent. Be well again, forgive me, right? So here is the man's talking again, right? So the narrator is at the back, but here you get this young man talking again. He's like confessing his foolishness. Oh, I didn't realize what silly I'm doing this terrible thing. But the good thing is he responds, he changes. So he's not totally drunk, he's half drunk, and he kind of come to, we say, no? And the last verse say, Mutta chatato sa bhikkhuni agami buddha varasa santikang Pasya vara punya lakhanang Chaku asiyata Purana Kanti. All right, so and then freed from him, the nun went before the noble Buddha. Seeing him with the marks of noble merit, her eye became whole again as before. Right. So here is a story in brief in a verse. According to the commentary, then this rope leaves, so this nun is all alone, only with one eye. So she goes back to the Buddha. All right, so the story goes that when she was approaching the Buddha, she's full of faith and she's a non-returner, remember. The moment she sees the Buddha in all his meditative glory, her eye is restored, according to the story. And then she goes to the Buddha, she reports what has happened, and then the Buddha teaches her Dhamma, not mentioned here. And as the Buddha taught her the Dhamma, she listens, she practices, and she attains arahathood. Okay, so from non-returner, she becomes arahat. So this is a story. Remember, this is literature. There are things we got to think about here. For example, did she really pluck out her eye? Okay, how does she do that? Wow, it's really a difficult thing to do. So it could be that because she's a non-returner and she's highly attained, she may have some powers that she made this young man actually see as if he's getting what he wants. Or because she's a non-returner, she's not afraid of pain. She actually does it. She took out her eye and said, "You want it? Here you are. I give it to you." All right. She only plucked out one eye, so she can still see. All right. So whatever it is, I leave it to your imagination. Important thing is to remember, when you read such literature, you must suspend your imagination. It's a story, right? It's a story about what happens when you only want a part of a person, when you misunderstand how good a person is, and you try to bring the person lower down. That won't be good, right? So this is the meaning, okay? That you have to accept a person totally. If he's practicing the Dhamma, you respect that. So Subha is one such person. And she's willing to sacrifice even a precious part of her to teach this young man a lesson. Unfortunately, we're not told what happened to this young man, whether this young man changed or not. I suspect in a good story, sooner or later, this young man probably changed and then went to see the Buddha and then got lessons and then became healed himself, right? I mean, he's not going to just go away and do some evil stuff. The fact that he has met this non-returner, that itself is wonderful good karma, and something good is going to happen. And when you look at the stories of all these people who have met other holy men in this way, they go through some difficult circles, some difficult experiences, and then they come back to the Buddha or to hear the Dhamma, and then they somehow become free themselves. It's a last part of their life's journey, if you like. So this is the story of Subha and the eye that she plucked out and gave to the young man, which saved her life and also saved the young man. So there you are. I'm going to stop here. We have about 35 minutes for questions.
Thank you, Brother Piya, for going through the verses with us. Yeah, the story. Now we can open the floor for Q&A. I'll pass it to Sister Icy. Sister Icy.
Thank you, Sister Wendy. Thank you, Brother Piya, for the explanation.
You can make the screen bigger a bit. Huh?
Thank you, Sister Wendy. There's no question in the chat box at the moment. Yeah.
We make the screen a bit bigger. It goes, very good. Yeah. Okay. So you can ask general questions also, not just about the story.
Yeah. Any brother or sister who would like to ask question, you may raise your hand now.
The story is quite direct and simple. Now this is we are reaching. We have 3 more months to go of suttas, so we're finishing more or less our syllabus. And let me see. After we have a few more suttas after this, 2, 4, 6 sessions, all right. And then after this series will end. I'm not decided what to do after this, but I'm sure I will teach something, and perhaps we have a new approach. I'll select some of my new translations and teach them. So please feel free to message me on Telegram, giving me your suggestions, your ideas, okay? Whether you want to continue with the sutta or stop it, up to you. Okay, just let me know. Of course, by then, I mean, SK has done a wonderful job by, sponsoring us for 2 years. We will be migrating you all. You're invited to join the Minding Center, what do you call that, Telegram Sutta channel. So you can migrate over there, and we can still keep in touch, because this one, I don't know, SK might close it down, or it might. So that part I'm not sure. So you just migrate to the PMC, the Mining Center Global Sutta Community. Okay. Okay, question time. Yes.
Thank you, Brother Piya. The first question from LC, Brother LC. What is this story teaching us in the Dhamma?
Well, that's a question you're supposed to answer, because I've done my part. So now you have to think about it. What do I learn? See? So give it a thought, look at it. You have this beautiful nun, and you have this young man who's trying to seduce her. So what do you think it's all about? And then this young man says, "Oh, you got beautiful eyes," and then this nun gives her the eye. See? So what does this mean, right? So think about it, okay? So the Buddha wants us to, the Buddha points the way out to us, and it says, okay, that's the path. And then we have to take the next step. So take that time, reflect on it, because the story is not finished yet. Reflect on it and say, well, which part of this story do I like? What is this story trying to tell us? Okay, so do that, and then you find that's how wisdom arises. Okay, because I can give you my own answers, but then again, I suppose you say, okay, I know it already, and then you forget about it, So if you begin to reflect for yourself a bit, take it a bit seriously, it will stay with you. And this is what, it will change you, make you a better person. This is what we want, okay? All right, that's my answer.
Thank you, Brother Piya. The next question from Maya Bao.
Yes.
Could her plucking out her eye and regaining it later be an implicit teaching?
Yeah, implicit, this neyata refers to, the whole story is neyata, the meaning is to be brought out. I suppose what you mean is it symbolic? That part, as I said, this is literature, so you can interpret different ways, it's up to you. But always ask yourself, what does the story teach me? For each of us, there's something the story will teach us. Okay? So this is what it's about. It is not whether, did she really pluck her eyes? Is it possible? It's not that. I mean, if you want to have a realist viewpoint, then there is no more literature in the world. You find that everything is really fact of life thing and becomes very boring, right? So we're talking about people who are willing to make sacrifices, right? So that's what the story is about. So this is the literature aspect, and you find in the great stories that a lot of this kind of sacrifices being made. So think about this, yeah. Okay, let's go.
Thank you, Brother Piya. There's a reply from LC. He said, is it try to teach us that lust is skin deep, and if once exposed, it's like taking out the eye, we immediately remove the lust.
I suppose it's for the other side, for the man, you can interpret that way. Whereas for Subha, to her, the eye is just a part of her body. And since the man is so carried away with the eye, he says, well, if you think it's such a great thing, here it is, look at it, what's so great about it? So yes, this young man has put all the lust in the eye, and then Subha says, okay, here it is, it's yours, and that shocks him. He says, wow, is this what I've been thinking about? Is what I've been running after? Is it worth it? So this is a shock therapy, in other words. All right. You notice, let's say you want to buy a new phone. Wow, very nice, all the features. You look at all the advertisements, and then you're waiting for the day to get it, or you order online, waiting for the day to come. I mean, this phone has come to you, let's say your previous model, you're so excited about it. And then it comes, and you look at it, and then you say, is that it? You find that something missing, something not right always. So that is human nature, you see. When we have not got it yet, there is this imagination, there is this desire. Whenever you desire, that means you have not got the thing yet. You have not got the thing yet. So you overvalue it, you inflate it, and you keep on wanting it. And then when you get it, you think it's good, then there is clinging. From grasping, there is clinging, right? But when you cling to it, it takes the shape of your hand. It takes the shape of your hand when you cling to something. And then when you see it the way you want to see it, then you say, oh, is that it? I know this already, so it becomes boring. And then you want something new. So it goes on like that. You're not really happy with what you have. So lust is bad in that sense. You do not really enjoy what it is that is there. So you keep wanting to have some more. Okay, that's the meaning here. Whereas if let's say when you meditate, you just say it peacefully, letting go of all the thoughts and views, and you feel very happy. That's it, right? No expectations, you just are happy in the moment. So that's the difference there. Okay, let's go on.
Okay, thank you, Brother Piya. Brother LC add on his reply. So in real life, when we see things in the lust or beauty, just look beyond the things or the skin, and this will immediately enlighten us to be able to see beyond.
Yes, you can put it that way. You try to do that. It's very good if you can do that. Yeah, reflect on impermanence of it all. Okay. Okay. Go on, please.
Okay, thank you. There's no more question in the chat box, Brother Piya.
Okay, so anyone, you can just put up your hand and ask any general questions. That action is a sacrifice that Subha is willing to make. So in the end, she loses nothing, because the eye, after all, is itself changing. So she's willing to use even that painful action to teach place some wisdom in this young man who doesn't see the wisdom. So she's willing to go that far. So that's a compassion. We consider as a compassion, you see, in a dramatized way, if you like. All right. So in a sense, like if for us, someone comes to us and asking a lot of difficult questions on the Dhamma, it's a matter of how patient you try to be, and the different kinds of answer that you want to give. And sometimes you may not satisfy the person. Maybe the person still is not sure of the answer, or maybe there are some underlying issues, So knowing things, giving answers alone sometimes are not enough. You have to know the person. If this where spiritual friendship comes in, and you find that when you become a good friend, then this other person would talk to you on a different level, and then you have to deal with the situation on a deeper level too, and then slowly you teach this person to seek the answer himself, right? Because he is the best person to answer this question, to ask himself and to answer it himself. So you have to teach that, how to answer your own questions. This is the tricky part, okay? Because not everyone can do that, but there is a way of doing it. And if we can do this, then to the extent we are self-reliant, reliantly wise, okay? So this self-reliance is very important teaching to teach others. It's not easy, this part, but we try. Okay. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, I have
Yes.
a question.
Yeah.
Can you comment on the meaning of, in your theme, you said the true meaning of seeing. So in this case, how do we learn to see?
Seeing, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, in a sense, one way of looking at the story is the theme is seeing, looking, seeing. Okay, here the eye is the faculty for seeing. The young man has two eyes, and yet he is not able to see true reality. He's only seeing on the surface, right? So what Subha does is that she takes out this eyes. Okay, now since you can't see reality, let me give you my own eye to show you, right? So it's like she is transferring her vision, lending her vision to this blind man with eyes. And by that action, compassion, okay, this young man comes to. He gets wisdom. Through compassion, he gets wisdom. And then he sees that, wow, okay, now I understand. You cannot just desire for a part of a person, for just an eye. You got to see the totality of the person. So at least she sees that you cannot just want something physical. The eye here actually represents the body also. You don't just fall in love with the person because of the body, then you're going to get into trouble because the body grows old, the body ages, the body changes, the body gets sick, right? So we also must think of the mind or the heart. That's the totality of the person. So when we practice loving kindness, we're talking about that, this unconditional, total accepting of someone, body, heart, and mind. In other words, the totality of person, to wish the person well in these three ways. That's one way of looking at it, the symbolism of the eye. Yeah? Okay?
Hey, Brother Piya, there's a question from Elsie.
Sure.
Just now you mentioned seeing something new like a handphone with new feature and our desires surface. So like the young man seeing the beautiful nun becomes desirous, and once the eye is given, then what you say, once you have the handphone in your hand, then the expectation came into reality, and either we are happy or we are disappointed. But in the materialistic world, how do we then not become desirous?
One way is, well, try to get what you want to get, or you can look back, examine in the past when you have done that, and then see the pattern. You see, a lot of these things have happened to us in the past. It's just that we forget about it. So we have to like maybe sit quietly, reflectively, and then say, okay, in the past I've been looking for this thing. And then, you know, after that, I lose interest in it. Once I got it, I lose interest in it. So that's the pattern. So watch the pattern and then notice it happening again. Then you more or less, now you got this wisdom, means you know it's going to happen. You see the pattern and you say, now I know it's going to happen again. So what do I do now? So that is another kind of wisdom. What do I do now? Okay. So then you, because of your experience, you will know what to do. Okay. You find, okay, I don't really need this, or maybe I can repair this, or I can share with someone. So there are many ways of solving this problem, so to speak. All right. Or I have to accept that these things don't last forever. Okay, they don't last forever. All right. See, one of the things that's very precious to me is my computer, because I do sutta work and I now talk to you here. So imagine if my computer breaks down, and it has done many times before. Then I will lose contact with you. I can't do my work, you know. So what do I do? Of course, I can have extra computers around, you know, that's possible. But then, you know, this takes up space, and then you're going to have another problem. So what I do is, I tell myself, what should I do? The reality is not the computer. The reality is the data. So I got to protect my data. I got to protect the suttas. So I get some stable external drive. Okay, I have this box where you can put the hard drive in it, because the portable drive is not so good. This one is the external hard drive, which is more stable. So if the computer breaks down, my data is all there. I can just plug it in USB port to another computer. So that's how I get around this problem with fear of losing my computer, right? So you use different ways of thinking and then try to sort this out. These are worldly things, so it shouldn't be too difficult. What is difficult is on a higher level, when we experience with people, how sometimes they suffer and you see them suffering, and then you try to help them and you find it's not easy helping them. So how you have to use your wisdom on how to help such people, basically. The rule always is teach them to help themselves. You cannot be solving people's problem all the time. Wow, that is going to be quite difficult. And the Buddha doesn't do that. He is the akataro, right? He points out the way to us. He tells us how to take care of ourselves. He's like a doctor telling us how to stay healthy, how to keep the wound clean, how to take your medicine and become healthy, something like that. All right. Okay, any more questions?
Thank you, Father Pia. There's no question at the moment in the chat box.
Yeah, we have about 15 minutes more. So do let me know for next year, after 3 months, what sort of ideas you have, share with me. First of all, let me know, do you want to continue with the suttas or not? So the more people say yes, the more I'm likely to carry on. I love teaching suttas. I probably will at least teach you the suttas, and maybe cut down once the other lectures are finished, I'll just focus on one so that I can work on the suttas. Now working on the sutta is becoming even more interesting. I see a simple sutta, but after translating it, looking at the notes, writing the commentary, so many new ideas come in and are put together. You'll find that when the ideas are very interesting, I often share it on Facebook first. And then from there, I will, finish the commentary in the sutta itself. So now I'm working on volume 59. It has again become volume two parts, volume 59A, 59B. I've just finished 59A. It's about 180 pages. This time I just make it thin so that I can take a break and then focus on giving you all the sutta classes and so on. Of course, sooner or later I have to get back to the sutta translation. That's why it's really fun. So as we age, especially when you have retired, we all look up to retirement. We think retirement is a great thing. But once retirement comes, you find it's like you have nothing to do. You have nothing to do and you're aimless. That is a very terrible thing. Okay? So you have to engage with the world in a sense. Yeah, you have to be useful. not to say be busy, but have some purpose in life. My purpose in life, of course, translating the suttas and teaching. And I think a very good way is learning the suttas, and if possible, to teach others the sutta, teach what you know. Okay, you don't have to be an expert in the sutta. So have a purpose-driven life, that's the meaning here. And nothing is better than knowing your own mind. And as we age, knowing our own mind is a very vital thing as we age. So then you can notice how this aging mind can be still strong, and this body doesn't listen anymore. For example, you know, when I go to the hospital, these nurses and doctors, they are measuring all kinds of funny things, you know, how my body reacts, something about this message passing through the body from head to toe, things like that. And all these things are going to slow down. So, wow, your body is not going to obey you like when you were young, you see. So you have to learn all these things about what happens to our body when we age. But the mind is different. The mind is still like a child. You have to train this mind. You have to train this mind until it is free. You got to really spend time with your mind as you age. And stay healthy physically also. Don't overdo your exercises, know your limits. Make sure your heart has a good exercise and enough, not too much. Your physical exercise also helps, sweat a bit, you know. Basic things like that. Find out how you can stay healthy. This is very important so that you live a good life, and not to become strong and, you know, look good, although that can be good too. The idea is not to suffer, to live happy, and then use your mind to study something wonderful. For example, Ratna is now studying Spanish. I tried to follow, I tried to study Spanish, but I find I keep wanting to go back to the suttas. I've done a bit of Spanish, but I need to be more disciplined with Spanish, okay? So we try to do all these things so that we find ourselves useful. There is something important and useful to do in some way. Helping people, doing social work also is good. You engage with people, see them happy, and you're also happy. Okay? Okay, any questions?
Sister Ratna raised her hand.
Right.
Yes, about this Subha Therigatha study, this I remind me of the story of Vakali.
Okay.
And the Buddha tell him that he who sees me sees the Dharma. Can you comment on the story and what it means by this?
Yeah. Okay, Vakali is another young man. He looked at the Buddha and he fell in love with the Buddha's look. He just likes the Buddha as a person, like falling in love with a movie star. So much so that he decides to become a monk so he can just look at the Buddha. He's very infatuated, all right? So it's the opposite of this Subha and the young man. So the Buddha accepts him as a monk, but then when the rains retreat has arrived, the Buddha tells this Vakali, say, look, you can't follow me anymore now because I have to go off for a rains retreat and you have to, stay here. Of course, the question is, why did the Buddha allow him to follow into a rains retreat? It'd be very nice spend the rains retreat together. So the Buddha purposely left him out so that he doesn't get attached. In a sense, that's part the Buddha, I would say, knew what's going to happen. So when he realized the Buddha is going to go away, he couldn't see the Buddha, he was devastated. He became suicidal, in fact. So we are looking at this very interesting psychological case. He felt really depressed that he decided, according to one story, he would jump off a cliff because there's no point, I can't see the Buddha anymore. But he was still thinking of the Buddha. So you see here where, in this very interesting case, very strong defilement and very strong Dhamma, both present in this Vakali. So he jumps off the cliff. At that moment, the Buddha appears to him in a bright hologram in front of him. So imagine he's already like off the cliff, and he sees the Buddha, and he's a man of faith. He's one of those arhats who declared to be of great faith. The moment he sees the Buddha, imagine his great joy arises. And at that moment, because of his focus, he also has very great past karma. He's able to free himself from all the lust and defilements and became an arahat, just like that. And this part is really funny, you know. So he was falling, but he becomes an arahat in the air. So he has very interesting quiz question, if you like, who became an arahat floating in the air, if you like, or falling down a cliff, you know. And that's Wakali, is it? So there he is, a jump off the cliff, he sees the Buddha's beautiful image and he has faith in the Buddha and he becomes an arahat, and then he falls and then he slows down by his own psychic powers, he floats down gently to the ground. Amazing awakening. Again, here you have this great ancient religious literature about how Wakali became enlightened. Okay, now the Buddha earlier had taught him. He tells Wakali, he said, Wakali, what is so great about this body? You know, you admire this body so much. This body rots. It's impure. You have to wash it every day, every time. You can't really, you know, benefit much from this. But later the Buddha tells him, if you see the Buddha, you see the Dharma. If you see the Dharma, you see the Buddha, right? He who sees the Dharma sees me. He who sees me sees the Dharma. The Buddha is talking on a higher level of seeing, see? So, and Wakali realizes it at the edge of the cliff, right? So here, Wakali was willing to sacrifice not his eye, his own life. He felt that it's not worth it. If he can't see the Buddha, he would rather die. So it's very dramatic, right? But the Buddha was there. This is one of the rare cases where it can be questioned, you know, whether did the Buddha help Wakali, you know, to be enlightened, right? Did Wakali use his own effort, or was it the Buddha who helped him? So it's quite a tricky, one of the tricky problems here. You must remember this story is not in the suttas, it's in the commentary, so that's another issue here, right? So how the point here is the Buddha, Wakali really saw the Buddha, not the Buddha as body, but the Buddha as awakening, as the Dharma. So when he sees the nature of the Buddha as impermanence, then understanding of Dharma arises in him, and that brings him awakening. He's able to let go of the image of the Buddha as a physical body, in other words. It's just like in the case of Subha, she gives her eye to this young man, and this young man, having got the eyeball, his desire, his lust for the nun disappears. So Wakali sees the Buddha's beautiful, glorious image. We're not told, you were told this bright image of the Buddha. And his faith arose, oh, the Buddha remembers me. So he's very happy. And that changed everything, because he is able to clear away his lust, his desire, his negative qualities. And that moment of his mental process, he's going to die, you see. So, and this is a very powerful moment that he straight goes into the state where he becomes an arahat, right? So he did, because of his superpowers as an arahat, he gently lands on the ground. So you see this very dramatic connection within these two stories. Yeah, yes, we were talking about how the mind works wonders for us to be able to see beyond the body. Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you, Brother Piya.
Yeah, 5 more minutes.
There's a suggestion from Brother LC.
Yes.
He would like to ask whether can we have a Zoom meditation class and discuss on the meditation experience?
I have to think about this one, because I've not done it before, and I'm not sure how many other teachers have done these Zoom meditation classes. I'll think about it, but thank you for your suggestion. Okay.
Okay, another question from Brother Tan Kim Si.
Yes.
Brother BR, can this story be relevant to the contemplating of the 32 parts, body parts, to detach from over attachment to sensual pleasure, reflections on repulsiveness.
Yeah, of course. That's possible too. Especially when it comes to the eye. You know, this story is quite short if you consider it really, because we do not know what happened to this young man, you know. So if you use the idea of contemplating on the repulsiveness of the body, and in a sense, this is what helped the young man. So I would say, yeah, it can be expanded there. See, maybe, I don't know, we have lost some commentary or some story about this man who accosted, who approached Subha, and in fact for him this Asubha, yeah, this is the irony, you know, got Subha, Asubha, okay, Asubha means impurities, eh? So by giving the eye, this Subha taught something called Asubha to the young man, and that in a sense freed him from desiring her. Right, so yeah, that's very interesting. Subha, Asubha, no? Impurities is Asubha, opposite of Subha. All right, that's wonderful.
Thank you, Brother Piya. There's the last question from the chat box.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, a couple of minutes. Well, I'm always happy I finished teaching. Huh? So just a couple of minutes, just let it pass. If questions come to you, just put up your hand.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
I think this remark made by Brother LC is quite interesting. He said, I'm 62 and I feel being raised sideways by my children that keep reminding me that I'm getting old.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we should let people tell us how old we are. Age is just in the mind, you know. We keep on using the mind, and
yeah,
and we keep healthy. This only when we admit that we are old, and then we start being lazy, and then we just pass our days and not doing anything, then we will age very fast. That's my comment. Thank you.
Well, we're still young as long as we're not awakened. Huh?
Yeah.
The body changes. You know, although we talk about death, if you look at the Buddha's teaching, there is really no death, you know. Death is what we see from this side of life. Someone passes away because the body stops functioning. But then we know, according to Buddha's teaching, the mind is reborn. So all these funeral rites, or that is just for us, you know, but this person already reborn. Unless this person is still attached to this world, then we do the, what do you call it, metta meditation. We dedicate merits to this person to free himself from being attached to this world. Okay, that's the preta. So they're not really ghosts. They're not. We don't have this idea of the dead, like zombies and so on. They're all reborn, right? Only this one kind of person, being or one kind of person who has so much attachment to the present life that he's not able to let go of it. So if this happens, we can help through understanding the nature of the petas. But this peta really, the Sinhalese monks have messed up this teaching. It has become a ritual of transference of merit and so on, instead of, if you look carefully in the Tirokuda Sutta, you find a mention of mettas, which is very important. You build up this metta to free these pretas from attachment to this world. So do look up this sutta, the Tirokuda Sutta, and the Saddha Januswani Sutta, which we have studied before. Yeah. So it's nothing to do with transcendental merit here. It is more of cultivating loving kindness and dedicating this to the person who has passed on. All right, so that's just nice. We have 10 seconds more and we're finished. Okay, so no more last minute question. Huh? The next round we're doing another reflection on on the 5 crickets next round.
Brother Piya, I have one question.
Okay.
It is, I see it so, the senses, the eyes, the ears, as we grow older, they lose their function, the function from them become lesser. So in that case, I have to hurry up when they are still functioning well to meditate. So but one day, it day by years by as the years come, they become you don't hear so well, you don't see so well.
That's very true. Yes, so when we cultivate the mind, then this mind, which is so well developed, will be able to, in a manner of speaking, be able to replace the weakening of the physical senses. All right. In other words, you can use the mind to understand what's going on.
And that is also a time when you can, it depends on the people. Some people maybe at the age of 80 or the 85, suddenly the mind functions also lesser and lesser.
Yeah, dementia can set in if you don't use the mind. So to prevent dementia, you got to keep the mind healthily active. Engage with happy people in a happy way. Do happy things.
It must not be a monotonous daily life.
Yeah, something like that. Yes. So very good. Very good. Yeah. So be happy, bring happiness to others. This is one way of looking at it. Okay, so that's good for today. Let us now close by reflecting. By the way, is there any photo to be taken?
Yes, yes. Please turn on your
let's
videos,
take
please.
this. Okay, video, please. Make sure you're not upside down, because sometimes it's so the those people are upside down or sideways. Okay. All right. Okay, smile. So happy to see you all over the world. And here we are, finish our sutta. Okay, yes, very good.
Still a few more people not turning on their video yet.
Yes, please turn on your video. When we finish this, we're going to close there.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, smart. One more. 1, 2, 3, smart. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, let us now close then. Now we have gathered here once again to observe the precepts. Remember the precepts, whether you recite them or not, you are still under the karma of the precepts, because they are actions that have karmic consequences. So it is wiser to keep the precepts. And we have also done some meditation to train our mind. So there is sila, there is a bit of samadhi. And then we study the suttas to cultivate our panya, wisdom. All the 3 aspects of the path are there. So remember these 2 hours or so that we have spent here. These are really wonderful time. And by all these good deeds you have done today, may we be well, may we be happy, may you be well, may you be happy, may your minds be clear, may you grow in wisdom and happiness. And send your kind thoughts to others who are important to you to wish them all well and happy. And now, with gratitude to the Buddha, our teacher, the Dhamma, his teaching, and our faith and inspiration in the noble ones who have followed the Buddha's way as arahats, we bow to them. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Bow down. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Bow down. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Brother Piya, for today's session. Thank you, everyone, for participating.
Thank you, Teacher Piya.